So the purpose of this little video is an introduction to the Chakra Yoga System. I really understand how many schools of yoga, how many types, how many styles that there are out there. However, the system, the Chakra Yoga System, is bringing together all these different aspects of yoga. I don't mean all different styles. There are 9 forms of yoga, there's the 8 limbs of yoga. All of these need to be integrated into an educational system. A system is made of many parts. Take your scooter, your automobile. Do you go to a parts store and buy a carburetor and a transmission and maybe a wheel, maybe some seats, a battery? No, you go and buy a whole car. It's a system of all these functions are put together into a vehicle that gets you where you want to go. So the Chakra Yoga System is like that. It's a system of techniques and methods and understanding and study that brings you to a very deep realization of what we are as human beings, our connection to the energetic world out of which we come. And this brings us back into the chakras, our energy wheels. What is that? It's a quantum field. It's a kind of energy at a certain vibration and frequency that gives it properties that can seem like gravity or covalence or repulsion or all these different things. It's all in the frequency. And if you understand the frequencies of the chakras, well, that's where the quantum sound therapy comes from. It's an understanding of everything has its resonant frequency, and if things are vibrating at a good frequency, then it seems like a really nice band or an orchestra that's everything's in tune, and it's wonderful to listen to. And you feel wonderful in your body when everything is vibrating in that way. So this is an important part of understanding yoga as a system. It's a whole education. You can't just go and get one technique over here, another one over there, and then you go for a breathing workshop here, and then you go for a little lecture on chakras over there. These are all little parts and pieces that don't necessarily fit together if you don't have the system. You hear my crows? Anyway, my explanation of this will go into greater depth. And my studies in quantum physics, in parallel with the chakra world, leads me to this understanding of how it all fits together, and everything is made of energy. Quantum physics is saying this, yoga has always said this, and so we need to understand energy. And the chakras are how to understand the frequencies of all these things, what the effects of these frequencies are, which glands and organs are connected. And that way, if something is dysfunctional, you can focus on that. When you have the whole system, you can analyze something that is out of tune. And you go in and tune it up. That's where quantum sound comes in. Mantra has been used for how many thousands of years by all religions and esoteric traditions and shamanistic. It's all part of working with the energy rather than working with solid matter. And solid matter now, it seems, doesn't actually exist. It does seem to exist to our senses. But the reality of going to the inside and seeing what everything's made of. So now I'm going to bring you into a little presentation on the Chakra Man. A painting I did back in 1974, a couple of years after India, because I found the amount of information about energy wheels, chakras, glands, organs, hormones, chemistry, physiology. It was a lot of information, and it was a lot to think about and to write about. But I put it into one picture that helped me to put it all together. And then I saw the whole thing. And when I look at this picture, of course, I am reminded of the integrity of all of these things. Glands, organs, chakras, cells, frequencies, vibrations, inner vision, outer vision, how the senses work. It's all part of this study of yoga. All right, let's go with a little physiological explanation, how things are working. Connecting to the chakras, you see here the first chakra, and the glands and organs connected are the testicles and the ovaries. Of course, it depends whether you're male or female. Also connected are the muscles, the contraction aspect of Mula Bandha going to the muscles, the gravitational force is what's governing things here, and it brings all your information into little seed format that contains everything about you. This is Muladhara, the earth element, connected to our feet, and our feet are what gets us around in the world. Having the whole system of yoga is like having a map, or having maps on your iPhone these days. You can see where you are and where you want to go, and you see how it all fits into one city scene or whatever it is. So without that, you're wandering around street after street trying to find something. I see a lot of people actually doing this and trying that. The reality is, not only do you have to try something, but you have to believe in what you're trying. You have to have some belief, faith, conviction that this is something that will work. And since yoga has been around for thousands of years and has worked, we can assume that it's going to work. So that's the basis. And then when you start practicing and doing things, you have experiences and feelings and insights and intuition that verify what you're doing is the right thing. Okay, thank you for listening. We'll go on to the presentation on chakras, inner chakras, outer chakras, how they look, the outside going through all the glands and organs, how they look on the inside from a very more energetic perspective. We then come up to Swadhisthana, the second chakra connected to our body fluids. All of the lymphatic fluids, all of the fluid, all of the liquid part of us are influenced and governed by the power of this Swadhisthana. We are 90% liquid, from the lymphatic fluid to the blood interstitial fluid, which is the same lymphatic fluid actually. Connected here we have the adrenal glands up on top of the kidneys. You see this picture contains all kinds of details, including structural analysis of what's going on with the sperm and the eggs swimming around in this circle in here. So adrenal glands producing the adrenaline that motivates us and allows us to get things done, actually. Kidneys and the bladder, of course, connected, dealing with body fluids, filtering the fluids. And when you have enough power in this center, you got enough adrenaline to do what you want, even without drinking coffee. Drinking coffee, by the way, stimulates these glands to put out adrenaline. It's just a trigger. You can do the same thing with certain postures and certain breathing techniques. This brings us up to Manipura. So just to keep in mind that yoga is a practical science with applied technique. For the first two chakras at least, and influencing the third quite a bit, is the diaphragmatic breathing. This is the diaphragm up in here. When you use it, it goes down, muscular sides that pull the plate down. Your belly bulges out because the digestive organs are all there, and they need to move to make space so that the air can come into the bottom of the lungs. So it looks like this. This is abdominal breathing. It's not a complete breath yet, it's just one part. Bringing circulation into this area, bringing oxygen with that circulation into the area covering the glands and organs that are connected to this chakra, to these chakras. Manipura is literally our power center. This is in charge of digestion and very connected to the pancreas, which is in here, and connection to the liver, that's in there, and the stomach. Of course, this is where we process the food we eat and get some energy out of it. The power center enabling us to act and do things in the world is Manipura. Next along the spine, from Manipura to Anahata. Anahata is the center of breathing, heart, respiration, blood circulation. It's connected to the thymus gland, which is not that well known for most people. It's the one that dictates what your white blood cells should be doing, activates them when there needs to be some kind of a battle in the body, and even just in general cleaning and sweeping out the body. So we have star in the center, 12 petals around, circulation going to the little heart chakra, which is considered to be an independent little Guru Harijamanas in yoga. It's connected but has its own beat. Just like the beat of your breath, the rhythm of your breath is one thing, the rhythm and beat of your heartbeat is smaller, faster, and ongoing. Then the second part of complete deep breathing in yoga, it's called Mahat Yoga Pranayama, the complete breathing. This is done with the rib cage, and the ribs go out to the side. Effectively, they actually pull the diaphragm up a little bit when you do this. So you do this breathing in order, the abdominal first, and then you go to the midsection, and it pulls the air into the middle part of your lungs, affecting chakras 3 and 4 primarily, bringing the prana to there, bringing the blood circulation to this area. And it provides a massage to the heart, to the lungs, and to the thymus gland, which is primary gland in our autoimmune system. So the motion is like this. I'm not just moving my hands, it's my ribs that are moving. Really good for correcting any cardiovascular problems, cardiac problems with the heart. This massages the heart itself, easing it off, making its work easier. And of course, because you have a high level of oxygen in your bloodstream, the heart does not have to work as hard. Its main role is to get the oxygen out to the cells and to get rid of the carbon dioxide. That's what our circulation is all about. Then you add the nutrients from digestive system. In breath, out breath. You can even squeeze in with your hands a little bit to increase the amount of movement in the ribs. If you teach this to someone who's having breathing difficulties and heart problems, and they practice it for a couple of weeks, the problems will be dissolving, fading away. I guarantee that. I have done this for 55 years, remember. I have experience behind me. Midsection. As we come up to the fifth Vishuddha chakra, here we are connecting with the thyroid and parathyroid glands, which I have drawn down here, displaced in here, because you can't see behind a chakra. The most important thing is the energy fields, the quantum fields that provide the power and the energy for each of these endocrine glands, every other organ in the body. The energy comes from here. So the yogic concept is keep these empowered and everything will function well. So from thyroid, parathyroids that are in charge of your metabolism and how well you utilize your calcium, etc. And behind that is located right at your voice box. So affected by vibration, what you think, what you feel, the words you say, and the words you don't say, which can be suppression. Coming then to Ajna Chakra. This one is the central processing unit for all of the information coming from all the others. In our glandular system, it's the pituitary master gland that controls what all the other endocrine glands are doing, including thyroid, thymus, pancreas, adrenals, and testicles and ovaries. So it's the master gland and the center of us where we process all the information and formulate our view of the world, our picture of how we see the world. It has two petals going into the masculine and feminine, the yin and the yang, the left and right hemispheres of the brain. This is where we balance things out and come together, looking at both sides of all pictures, and brings in the intuitive and the intellect. Now as we get up into Sahasrara Chakra, you see I have it depicted here as a diamond or prism, and it's taking the energy and the light from the galaxies of the universe, the stars, including our sun, comes as light, and then it's refracted into all the different colors of the chakras, and then ends up coming down to Earth. This is the solar system, including the planet we live on. So there's a constant flow in the universe from one to the other. And our consciousness here in the middle is what's keeping it all in perspective. And in the yogic development and training, you learn to bring your consciousness up here and out into this universal realm in states of meditation. When you come out of those states, you come back down to function with an active mind, a lot of information, your body functions come back in, your digestion, etc. So this is all part of the process and part of the developing of yoga, the development of controlling some of these glands and organs just to influence our health. So the breath training was the first thing we learned at the ashram in India, Ananda Ashram. And it took 2 weeks to really master the breath. And then it was applied to everything else we did. And I understand the importance of that after observing how people have breathing difficulties, how they don't breathe most of the time, or very little. 10% of your lungs is the normal of what people breathe with. What about the other 90%? It has a function, it has a purpose. So let's go to the upper section of the breath. This one becomes a breathing difficulty for many people in situations, asthmatic conditions, bronchial conditions. This one is done by raising the whole chest up and down. And it's done with a specific set of muscles that are connected to the medulla oblongata at the top of your brain stem, top of your spinal cord, which is your brain stem. So observe the motion up and down here. I'm just using the breathing muscles. Now I can exaggerate this by lifting my shoulders, which is another technique, like using the hands here for the midsection. And I'm raising my shoulders and bringing them up and to the back. This increases my lung capacity, the capability of my lungs to really be expanded, after which they can bring in more air. So observe the motion. It's diagonal, going back and down like this. And you can allow spinal movement as you're doing this. Again, I'm sitting in Vajrasana. You can do this sitting in a chair, depending on your capability. But anyone can breathe. If you're alive, you can breathe, or you wouldn't be alive. So we're enhancing that principle of breathing, getting oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. I emphasize carbon dioxide out because there's a big problem with the lack of breathing, the lack of exhalation. We have a buildup of carbon dioxide in our bloodstream, filtering out into the cells. And from there, we become acidic rather than alkaline. So it's really connected to this oxygen and carbon dioxide balance. In breath, out breath, and you are allowing ourselves to slouch a little bit on the out breath. That compresses the lungs, gets rid of the carbon dioxide. After which you can fill up with fresh air, which ideally has a high level of oxygen, 20% or a little bit more with prana content, which you have out here in the jungle, and maybe you don't have in your office or wherever you are. In your house with closed windows, so open the windows, let the oxygen in. When you don't exhale this area, it fills up with carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide doesn't get out. You start to feel a little bit of anxiety, stress, panic, and it turns into this asthmatic condition, which is easily discharged, changed by the breathing. Okay? The complete breathing is putting all three together, abdominal, mid, and upper, in that order. It goes like a wave, and it feels like a wave, and it's wavering. It's creating this motion on the inside that is incredibly beneficial for circulation of everything. The bloodstream, lymphatic fluid, interstitial fluids, it's there between the cells, and then we have cerebrospinal fluid in the spine itself, which goes with this movement. That's what circulates all of these fluids. And all of the fluids in our body connected to second chakra, they are all requiring motion. Just like water out there in a pond, if it never moves, it becomes stagnant. If it's flowing in a creek, it's always like fresh water. And by nature, the water evaporates out of the ocean up into the clouds and comes back down as rain into all of our mountain creeks and streams. Water element. And the ability to do that is part of what you learn in the Chakra Yoga system. It's all energy. And we're learning to deal with the energy as energy, and then through frequency, vibration. And you see, of course, you have mandalas, symmetrical forms that are not just symbolic or artistic. They are actual pictures of the energy at each of these centers. When the electromagnetic energy comes in and tangles and tangles at these different angles, which you can see in here, we have everything coming together from the earth element, the water element, the fire element, the air element, the mind, the electromagnetic, how can I describe that? It's kind of like the radiation principle, as your voice radiates out and everybody can hear you. And then we have the mind element itself, which is holding it all together. This is magnetic. And as we go down again to the bottom, the earth gravitation, the water covalence, the transformation, combustion of the third, the expansive quality of anahata, the radiative energy of vibration and vishuddha, and the magnetic guidelines that determine what all the electromagnetic energy will do at all its different frequencies. So up top we have our galaxy made of suns. This is the source of energy in our universe. Over on the other side we have the planetary system, and we live on one of those planets. This is where the energy ends up, from the light to the dark, from the radiation to the condensation, etc. And we condense all the way down into us. So then let's zoom in to the first chakra. Looking at the details of it, you can see it's kind of glowing more. And you see the lines going out. There's lines going out to the feet. These are neurological connections from Manipura to our feet that get us around on the earth. Psychologically, this is ourself. How we think and feel about ourselves, and all of the immediate feelings and experiences of ourself. Actual here and nowness of what we are experiencing in the world. Then as we move up to the second chakra, we see neurological lines going up from here down and out to the hands, where we have other little minor chakras in each hand, our sensitive input. And this is connected to our social center. I mentioned all of the fluids of our body. Now it's into the social aspect of that. The fluids are influenced by our relationships. Our relationships are influenced by the condition of this energy and the flow of our own internal fluids. All of our thoughts about people, all of our relationships. Whereas in the first chakra we have thoughts about ourself. Here we have all of our considerations and thoughts for people. And we are influenced by people. We listen to them. We feel what they are feeling. Coming up, Manipura chakra, our power center. Here we're looking at connections that go to the sense of the eyes. We have the hands, second chakra, the feet, first chakra, and now we're into the eyes and vision. How we see the world, what we see in the world, and how we react to what we are seeing in the world. Our reactive patterns and tendencies are very much contained here as far as our actions in the world. Now granted, some of those will be more social interactions and reactions. Here it's the actions that we do in the world. Being active, doing things, running, swimming, all the things we do. How many things do we do? When we come up to Anahata, here we have our center of feeling that extends from the most physiological to the most internal, noticing all internal body sensations. Then you can go right down into your cells and molecular vibration at this level. This will bring in how we feel about ourselves, emotionally how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about our lives. This is also the storehouse of memory, the subconscious part, which we enter when we begin breathing, because breathing normally is a subconscious thing. It's a program that's automatically happening. Here we take charge, we go into it, and it opens up a whole world of subconscious feelings that we then have to look at. This is part of pranayama yoga. The lungs and the heart, circulation, how we feel, how we breathe, and how feelings affect our breathing, how the breathing affects our feelings. When we begin breathing deeply, we unlock all the subconscious feelings. There's a whole process in Ekadasi pranayama technique that unleashes all of this. Let's just look at how we have felt about everything we've done, what we are doing now. Coming up to Vishuddha Chakra. Now we're in our center of intellect as opposed to the center of feeling. Our ideas, our belief system, all the knowledge we've accumulated in our life, it's all contained here to make up our whole concept of life, what we believe in. And here we need to spend a little time going through that to see what do we actually believe in that has value, what is the right knowledge, what is the wrong knowledge. There is a whole process of mental detoxification that goes with the breathing techniques here. This is connected, of course, to our speech. It's connected to our ears. We hear and we react to what we hear by speaking, acting, reacting. Coming up to Ajna Chakra, the central processing unit, as I've mentioned. All of the information that comes in from the sense of hearing, the sense of seeing, the sense of feeling, the sense of smell, and the sense of taste. Everything comes to here, where we analyze and process and make up our minds about our experience. Patanjali mentions here modifications of the mind. Every experience we have is compared with others we've had in the past, and this then determines what we actually experience in the present moment. It's colored by the past considerably. Up to 7th chakra, Sahasrara. This is the element of consciousness itself, of everything, and it is on top of the head. It's not in the body. Connected to the pineal gland, a light-sensitive gland that is affected by light in its general form, electromagnetic vibration, coming in from the universe. And we have from here, as we're looking up, going into meditational states, we're tapping into this field of energy that goes, an energy field that is always going from the universe, the galaxies, the stars, everything that is out there, as the energy is flowing from the galaxies and stars and coming over into the planetary systems and us, We are the consciousness that is experiencing this energy in its vibration, in its electromagnetic, blissful state. Then it comes back to the seventh chakra. And we take our awareness downward, back through the chakras below. And from this prism-like diamond shape above the head, light is refracted, like in a diamond, and comes out in rainbow colors. These are the colors of violet, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. The colors of the rainbow that make up our chakras. They are all energies. We are all energy. In the inner view, in the inner vision that develops with Raja Yoga, you learn to see all these things from the inside. What you're seeing, as it has been researched in laboratories, when you have this inner vision. So, as you can imagine, in the Chakra Yoga System, the Master Training Course, we cover this ability to see things. It's a development for the third eye. You learn to see things on the inside. You learn to see all these mandalas that are here in the man. One by one, we develop the ability, and we go into the sounds and the color and the form and actually painting them, drawing them out. It's a whole study in itself. This is Yantra Yoga, one of the 9 forms. We cover the other 8, of course. Hatha Yoga being what most people think of as yoga, it's the asanas. The postures, how to do them properly, how to move from one to the other. Then, of course, first of all, we cover the yama niyama. Then, from the Hatha Yoga, with all of its detoxing techniques and its postures and movements, increasing circulation, bringing health and vitality back to the body, we go to the second form of yoga, Jnana Yoga, connected to the second chakra, Swadhisthana. This one is very mental. It's very different. It has to do with your mental, emotional content. What's going on in your mind? How many of your thoughts are creating emotions that are helping you along your path? How many of your thoughts are creating negative emotions that are holding you back? And this whole whirlpool of mind, emotion, activity is what is studied in Jnana Yoga until you learn to realize, well, you're not the mind, you're the observer, and you can reset the mind. So there's many techniques to do that. Then we come to Manipura Chakra, the third form of yoga. It is Pranayama Yoga. This is the breathing techniques. I have, I think, 66 of them in my book, going from basics of abdominal, mid, and upper, and then going into all the different techniques that are mathematically based and bringing in the prana to specific areas of the body, to specific chakras, for the reasons, the purpose of detoxing, empowerment, balancing, many different techniques for a whole variety of different purposes, all very effective. Then we come to Anahata, the 4th chakra, connected to your heart, your lungs, connected to Karma Yoga. This is where you learn to understand everything you do has some kind of consequence. Everything you say to people, everything you do to them. So the idea of doing things that are beneficial, helping other people, this is Karma Yoga. You're doing things that are for the benefit of humanity, actually. So this is a study of the cause and effect, and when you're creating beautiful, you're causing nice things to happen, you get the reactions which are very positive, can be very beautiful. Brings us into a loving state with everyone. 5th chakra, Vishuddha, brings us into Raja Yoga. This is, again, a mind science, but is how to use the mind in creating, in manifesting, building up a knowledge bank of right knowledge, eliminating the wrong knowledge, and then using some of these visual techniques to focus the mind outside of the verbal process that most people are trapped in. So this is another aspect. There's many different techniques of visualizing, working with sound, etc. Another whole field of developing the mind. And Raja Yoga means the royal yoga. This is what was practiced by the royalty of ancient India. And then Yantra Yoga, I just mentioned, this is the designing of the mandalas. It brings in the time calculations of which chakras you are born into, which ones are evolving you through life, year by year, month by month, and day by day. Your chakras, chakra influences that you have access to are different and changing. So you learn about those energies by studying the chakras, and then you're learning which one you have access to today, tomorrow, this month, next month, and year by year. And that goes into the bigger picture of lifetimes. So the sacred geometry, the calendar system, the chakra analysis are all part of Yantra Yoga. It's in a sense a very intellectual perspective on the chakras to understand their characteristics, what they do, what kind of power they have. Then the next one is Sahasrara Chakra, above the head, not in it. And this one is connected with mantra yoga. Mantra is sound in formulas that are like songs, mantras. It's harmonic sound. And I've mentioned the Om Japa as part of it, one of the first things mentioned by Patanjali, just the chanting of Om. And then the Om breaks into many different parts and pieces, sounds, a whole alphabet. It's actually the Sanskrit alphabet. When you put it all together, it sounds like the Aum. And this brings us into the pedal sounds. Each chakra has a seed sound, a pedal sound, and you're learning to work with the energies of the chakras by using these sounds with visualization and observing the results and the consequences of what you're doing. It becomes sound formulas that you can direct and redirect the energies into different areas of your body, your physiology, your mentality, and then changing ideas from negative to positive, getting rid of negative thoughts by replacing them with more positive ideas. Number 7, and then we rise into number 8. The 8th chakra, again, 7, 8, and 9 are beyond the body. 7, just here, 8 and 9 to the left and right. These are Laya Yoga, number 8. Laya Yoga works with the invisible energy. It's also referred to as Kundalini Yoga, sometimes Tantra Yoga. The words are mixed up a little bit for most people. It deals with the energy that we cannot see, but we can feel it. And we learn to absorb and gather this energy, bring it into ourselves, charge up each of the chakras. It's invisible, but it's very real when you learn to feel it. And we can feel it before we can see it, depending on whether you've opened up your third eye already or not. You can see and feel the same thing and hear it. It all has sound. It's all kind of musical. So this is kind of a more mystical, because it's invisible, it's a mystical side of yoga. And then we go into the 9th chakra, which is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti is considered to be very devotional and religious. In the science of yoga, it brings the understanding that everything is one. Everything is part of one big electromagnetic ocean, which we can feel in the 8th chakra when we work directly with the energy. And here it brings us into this connection of it's all part of one intelligent, divine universe. Now you can define divinity as you wish. seeing that the universe is actually a divine manifestation. No God's making it. The God concept is built right in, just like it's built right into us. Part of us is the Atman, the consciousness that is a divine part of the universe. And the entire universe is conscious, and we merge with that ultimately when we get to this higher levels of consciousness. So this is the complexity of the Chakra Yoga system. It's a whole education. It takes a while to learn just the physiology of glands and organs, how they work, what to do if they don't work. Psychologically, how's your mindset, how's your emotions, etc. Energetically and healing-wise, how is your healing force? How's your immune system? And then how's your expression and your truthfulness? All of these things are part of the complex educational system of yoga. But it all makes sense. They're all pieces of a puzzle, and the puzzle is relating to us. The more we learn, the more we understand ourselves as human beings, as individuals, as part of the human race. And then we're ready to make our contribution to help other people understand and see how to be perfectly healthy, how to be perfectly happy, and then bring in the creativity. We need a little more creativity now to kind of rebuild our modern society. It's kind of with yoga or with ayahuasca or whatever, you are actually seeing the light that is coming from your own DNA being irradiated. You see this as the interior light. And that's why the interior light is actually very bright compared to the normal daylight, which is a reflection of light. Each of these has its vibration, each of these has its sounds. The seed sound lung, seed sound bung, seed sound rung, seed sound yang, seed sound hung, seed sound ung, and then the complete sound of